Hello everyone. So welcome to my YouTube channel once again, Akash Thing. So today we will continue our learning on the Python playlist. In our last video, we have covered the numeric data type, especially int, float, and complex. And we have I have loaded a couple of videos covering in-depth understanding of this. If you have not watched it, please go and watch. I have shared a lot of deep understanding around that, and also type conversion and how we can interchange one to other the data type. So today, in the same link, we are going to learn about this new data type, which is Boolean, or kind of true or false, if you already know. So we'll learn these four topics here, as you can see, where the first topic is going to be basic understanding about what are booleans and what are its important characteristics. We will try to understand in very simple terms so that everyone or anyone should be able to understand it. Then we will also try to see where all it can be used, especially when we are writing Python codes. And then we will also see this bool function that is there in Python that helps me in converting any uh, from any data type to boolean, and see how it works, what it is returning as output. And in the end, we will also try to understand what is truthy and falsy and where it fits in this boolean concept. So with that, let's get started. So let me just bring it up and zoom it. Yeah, so here we can see what are booleans, and think of it as the switches. So in our home, you must have an electric board, and on that board you have the switch to turn on or off a light or fan, right? So it's similar. We have a switch. One side it is on, other side it is off, and again on is represented by 1 and off is represented by 0. You can say just think of it as a kind of number, and again, it can be represented by true as well, and it can be represented by false. So think of it like a meter at your home. So whenever the meter keeps on moving, or when the meter is on, it records the value in terms of 1, otherwise it stays 0. So something like that here also it's happening. So based on the since it's all after everything is inbuilt in the chipset that is there in our system, that is a kind of semiconductor device. So everything that is there is stored in terms of electricity. So either electricity is there or not. So that's why we have this switch on and off, and that's where this binary concept comes in picture, that either it is 0 or 1. So generally in Python we try to interpret true and false as boolean, and they are human readable labels as well, because if we say 1, someone might be confused that whether this represents true or whether it represents false. So that's where, to avoid this confusion, Python directly implements boolean as true and false, which is directly related, we can understand it directly without any thing like if a statement is true or if statement is false, right? Now, again, there is two characteristics which you can see here I have listed. First is like it follows a strict capitalization, and second is integer subclass. So strict capitalization means like we can write true like this, or like this, or like this. But Python follow this only. If you write capital all letters or all small, it will not recognize it as a true that is related to boolean. It will just read it as a variable. We can see it by writing the code. But if you write capital T and similarly for false capital F, then it will treat these two as boolean. Now this is the first characteristics. So you can see how it is written, and then second characteristics is like these true or false can also act as numbers 1 and 0. So this represents 1, and this represents 0. So this is the simple thing that we are trying to say. So on high level, if I just summarize, Boolean data type is divided into two parts. First is true, which is also represented by number 1, and second is false, which is also represented by 0. So now let's try to run some code directly going to practical, and let's try to implement it, how it works. So here you can see I have written a couple of examples, and let's try to understand what these are saying. So here I am creating a variable. So this is the method by which we create a variable, right? We define the variable name and the value assigned to it. So here I am assigning true to it. Similarly, here I am assigning false to it. Now both of these are Boolean data types. So when I'm going to check the type using this type function, which we already saw already, like for checking any in variable data type, we have to use the type function. So that's where we are also going to do it for this variable. And once we run this, so let's see what we get. You can see we are getting Boolean. And if we check for raining also, it will give the same Boolean. However, if I try to define it like small true, see it is giving me indication that true is not defined. It's not recognized basically. And when I will run it, it will give me an error. It will say that true is not defined. It is treating true as a variable, not as a Boolean data type. And similarly, if I define capital true, then let's see what happens. It is telling me to replace it, like suggesting me, but let's see if it works or not. So again, it's saying that true is also not defined. So only the first letter capital is going to work. So we understood how we define true and false or Boolean data types. Now we can also check the ID of these two. So by ID means, like, let's say the ID of Rainy. So this is the ID. Okay. Now if we try to change the variable name, is it going to create a new ID, memory ID basically? So basically what I'm trying to say is like uh, this is my true value and it is located at this location. Okay, so now here I have created this first variable and this is the pointer which helps me in identifying what is the memory address of this. So this is my memory ID. Now if I create a different variable here instead of sunny, let's say I create x, and let's check the ID of this also. Now compare the ID of both. You can see the ID are two different. So both, no, let me check for Sunny here. Both are true, so that's where. So you can see the IDs of both are same. So even if I create any other variable like T5 equal to true and check the ID of this also, and this one as well. Now you can see all IDs are same. So basically doesn't matter how many variables I am trying to create, whether it is it's sunny or it is x or it is t5, all of these are pointing me to the same memory ID. So this is how it is, like we treat this as a kind of data type, Boolean data type, that this is unique and it is already defined in Python and it is stored at a certain location, and it's not, Python is not going to create duplicates of this value in the memory. It is going to refer to the same memory ID. So that way it is also optimizing at the backend, that unnecessarily not creating multiple replica of the same value. So this is something I wanted to cover here. Now let's clean it and let's try to see some of the operations on this Boolean, what all things we can do. So the first thing I'm trying to do is like each instance is nothing but through which I can compare the data types of uh, two input that are there. So you can read the function return whether an object is an instant of a class or a subclass thereof. Like here, true I have inserted, and then I'm checking is it a object of integer class. So if since we already know that true is also 1, so 1 is an integer, right? So it's either a part of this class or a subset of this class only. So then it is going to give me true. Otherwise, it's not going to give me true. So let's try to run this and see what we get. You can see I'm getting true. And if I write 1 as well, then also I am going to get true only because it's int only. But if I write here instead of int, wool, then let's say, see what is happening. It will return false. See, 1 is not a part of wool. But if I write true here, then it will return true. See, that's the difference. So what it is saying that true is a subclass of integer or boolean is a subclass of uh, this integer class. And that's what this definition is also saying, whether an object is an instance of a class or of a subclass. So both is possible. So that's how this function helps me in comparing that, the data type of the two class. Now we can also try to add two true and see what we get. So generally like you may think that when I will run this, it will give me true, but it's not going to happen because internally true represents 1. So that's where it will add both of these and will give me 2. Now, if I remove and if I just keep nothing, will it give me error or will it give me some value? It's going to give me error because we already know how Python print function work. It needs a comma, right? Okay. Now we can also create as many times true as we want by using this multiplier and multiplying it with let's say 4, then it will return 4 true. So basically instead of repeating true 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 4 times, it has considered true as a number 1 and it multiplied by 4. So if I use 0, then it is going to give me 0. If I use minus 10, this is also going to give me minus 10. So that's where if I multiply this false by 50, so false is by default 0, right? So 0 into 50 will be 0 only. So that's where I'm going to get 0. So that's what I have written here. Now, can we compare true to 1? Let's try to check that also. So if we just try to compare these two values, it is going to give me correct. But if instead of is equal to double equal to, if I am going to use 1, then it is going to give me false. So we will learn about this difference between is and equal to. What is like on high level, just understand it that equal to refers to the value while is refers to the memory ID. So the memory ID of true and memory ID of 1 is going to be different, right? Because this is an integer and it is stored at a different value. So ID of this versus ID of 1. So both are different, you can see it. And same for false as well. If we check, the ID is going to be different. So that's where if we use the is comparison, then it's not going to work, but otherwise it is going to work, right? So that's how we are getting this true. So these are some of the like common interview questions as well, which can come up. So where they can try to trick you, like if we are using a plus sign between two true, will it going to return me true or true? So similarly here also, and similarly for this as well. Now let's try to understand the use of this Boolean kind of, yeah, Boolean in our Python code or logic development. Again, this is going to be simple. So let's try to understand it. So there is like some comparison expression and some logical operations, which both of which we are going to see how the Boolean is coming in picture. So in terms of comparison, we try to compare two values, right? Whether something is bigger than the other, whether something is equal to the other thing. So these are the different comparison operators we generally use: greater than, less than, equal to, and it evaluates expression on both side of the thing, like LHS, and this is RHS, and this is here it is going to fit either equal to or greater than or less than. Now based on this it will give me some value here, so it is going to be Boolean, either true or false. For example, here I have taken a security guard checking the IDs of all those persons who are entering into the club. So if he is having the ID, proper ID, then he will either let him in or he will just do a out. So this is also kind of Boolean only, but yeah, it is having different values in and out. Now, these are the comparison expressions, and similarly, we have some logical operators as well, like we have this AND operator, OR operator, NOT operator. So, if you know this, this is something like, let's say this is my true and true. So, once I use AND operator, let's say this is my AND, this is my OR. Let me rewrite it. So, this is OR, this is and this is my true, true. Then true, false, false, true, false, false. So this you might have studied in your lower classes, and this is what we are going to use or leverage it here. So whenever both of these are true and we apply a OR operation, that returns true, because either one of them has to be true to return true when we are applying this OR operation, right? So that way true false will also return true, this will also return true, but this both of them are false, so it will return false. Similarly here for AND, it will return true only when both the items are like item 1 or item 2. So both of them are true, then only it will give me true, otherwise it will give me false. So using this kind of thing, we can see how this works here, because we are going to use a Boolean here. So true, true is nothing but a Boolean, and it is going to give me true. So this is also a Boolean. So that's where this thing comes into picture here. And here is a not operator as well. Not operator is nothing but not of true will become false, and not of false will become true. So just opposite, nothing else. Now with that, let's try to go through some of the code. So here you can see I have defined age equal to 25, and I'm comparing age greater than 21. So which means like I'm asking if 25 is greater equal to 21, which is true, right? So it is going to return me true. If I print here, so it is going to return me true. Now here 10 equal to 9, which is false, right? Both are not same. 9 equal to 9 makes sense, but this doesn't make sense. So this is going to return me again false. So let's try to run both of these and see what we get as an output. So first one is true, which we already guessed, and second one is false, which we also guessed, right? Now if we change it to 9, then it is going to give me true. See how it worked. So yeah, this part is clear. Now let's jump to the next piece. Let me just erase this piece. Yeah, so now let's see what we are trying to do. So now again I am checking the expression, what it is returning, and I am also trying to check the ID. So last time, if you remember, we checked the ID of true using different variable names, and we were getting the same ID. So here if we are generating true using the different expression, are they allocating the same using the same memory ID, or is it creating a new variable? So that's what we are trying to test here. So let's run it and see how it works. So as expected, we got the same memory ID. It is not creating a new memory ID for the true uh, variable, right? So this is clear. Now let's move to the next concept, which is the logical operation and or and those things. So first let's try to demonstrate the not operation. So not true. If I write like this, it will give me false. See, and if I write the, let's try to use this sort. I think this will not work. Yeah, it's not working here. Anyway, we can use this not operator anytime, and this is going to give me the opposite of this. Fine. Now here I have defined two variables. One is adult and has ticket. So he has to be adult and he also should have a ticket. Then only he can enter the like party or the club. So now I'm checking whether he is an adult as well as he is having a ticket or not. So in this case, I am applying a AND operation and one of them is false. So what we are going to get according to this definition? So either of this we are going to get, right? So both of them are false only. So we are going to get a false value here. But in this case, we have a OR operation in between these two. So we are going to get a true because you can see these two value give me true only. So even if one of them are true, we will get true during OR operation. So let's try to run this and see the value. You can see first is false and second is true. Now if we want to make it the first also true, we have to change both to true. So now if I run this, you can see I got both true. And now if I make both of them false, then in the both print statement, we are going to get false. And now if I make the bottom one true, then again same. So hope you got this clear. Now you understood like the logical operations also. Now I will just go into the last piece, which is my Boolean function. And then the remaining thing we will try to cover in our next video because it's already getting lengthy video. So yeah, here what we are trying to do is like we are trying to check the variable, uh, like we are trying to convert a variable into a Boolean data type using this function. If you hover over this, it will give you return true when argument is true, otherwise false. So it is going to give me true or false based on the object that is there inside this function. Now we will talk about the substance and magnitude in our later video, but right now, as expected, 0 is a false, so we are going to get a false here. And if we make it 1, it is going to give me true. And if I use this 1 equal to 1, this is also going to be give me true. And if I just make it not equal to, then it's going to give me false, right? So it is also working as usual. 2 equal to, then again it's going to give me false. So yeah, this is the thing I wanted to cover. And if we write true here directly, let's see, it is also going to give me true only. So yeah, we saw like how these things are working. Let me just summarize what we have learned. So we learned about the Boolean data type, and we also learned about uh, yeah. So what we learned is like the Boolean operators, true and false, and their numeric representation as well. And then we also learned about the different comparison expression like equal to, greater than, less than, and then the logical operations like or and not. And then we also learned a little bit about this Boolean function, which returns true or false as the output. In our next video, we'll try to cover this truthy and falsy concept about this Boolean. And I think that's where we're going to finish it. So that's a kind of advanced concept. And we'll also see like the different edge cases or the interview question that can arise from this Boolean. So with that, I would like to conclude this video. Thank you everyone. And like, subscribe and share.